One of the most common misconceptions men have is this idea that confidence is about being loud, dominant, or overly assertive. They think they have to puff out their chest, speak over everyone in the room, or constantly prove themselves to be taken seriously. But that's not confidence, that's insecurity in disguise. Real confidence, the kind that actually makes a woman notice you and feel something deep and immediate, it's much quieter than that. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to compete. It just is asterisk. It starts with how you carry yourself. Are your shoulders back? Are you standing like someone who has a right to exist, not arrogantly, but with self-respect? Because if you don't believe you have value, your body shows it before your words even begin. You might slump, look down, fidget at all signs that you're apologizing for taking up space, and people, especially women, pick up on this instantly. There's no hiding it. On the other hand, when you own your space, when your posture says, "I belong here," you radiate a presence that's grounded and calm. You don't have to say a word, but it's not just about posture. It's about how you see yourself deeply beneath the surface. If you believe you're inadequate, if your mind is constantly feeding you criticism and doubt, then that internal chaos leaks out into everything you do. Women are attuned to emotional signals. They can sense it when a man's trying to impress them because he doesn't believe he's enough. And here's the paradox. The more you try to prove your worth through words or flashy behavior, the more you communicate that you don't believe you're actually worthy, that you're compensating, that you're not settled inside. You have to learn to sit with your own presence and not flinch. Can you be silent in a conversation and still feel comfortable? Can you walk into a room without needing to be the center of attention and still feel like you belong? That's real strength. That's the kind of calm confidence that draws people in. It's subtle but powerful. And it's built not from pretending, not from posturing, but from taking responsibility for your life, from knowing that you're striving toward who you could be, and not being ashamed of the distance between where you are now and where you're aiming. When a man is on that path, when he's aiming upward, when he knows he's not perfect, but he's trying, he begins to carry himself differently. Not with arrogance, but with clarity. Not with entitlement, but with intention. And that's when people, especially women, start to respond, because that kind of energy tells the world, asterisk, I don't need to dominate you. I don't need to impress you. I'm just here and I'm not going anywhere. Asterisk, you don't need money for this. You don't need status. You just need to be willing to face yourself honestly and commit to becoming better steadily, imperfectly, but genuinely. The woman doesn't need you to be perfect. She just needs to feel that you're not afraid of who you are. That you're not running from yourself. That's what makes her pause. That's what makes her look again. That's what makes her want you, not because you tried to convince her, but because you didn't need to. Most men don't realize just how rare it is to actually be there with someone. Fully there. Not halfway listening. Not thinking of what you're going to say next. Not distracted by your phone or glancing around the room, but actually present. And when you're with a woman, especially in those first few moments of connection, presence is everything. You can have all the right words, you can look the part, dress well, say the clever lines, but if you're not present, she'll feel it. And more importantly, she'll feel the absence of it. Presence is the foundation of connection. When you're present with someone, what you're telling them without words is, you matter. You're saying, I'm not running, I'm not hiding, I'm not escaping into distraction or performance, I'm here with you, right now. And that sort of attention, in a world that's full of noise, is magnetic. It's disarming because people are starving for it. Everyone's so busy trying to be seen that they forget to see the person in front of them. So when you're sitting across from her, whether it's a date, a conversation in passing, or even just a casual moment, and you really look at her not in some intense, calculated way, but with actual interest, with calm curiosity, something happens. She starts to feel safe. She starts to feel that maybe, just maybe, you're different from the rest, because you're not trying to pull her attention to you like everyone else. You're asterisk giving asterisk her your attention. That flips the whole dynamic, and here's the strange truth about it: being present is harder than it sounds. It means shutting off the internal noise. It means being okay with silence. It means not needing to impress or perform. That's vulnerable. That's why so many men avoid it. They use humor, bravado, storytelling not because they're evil or manipulative, but because they're scared. Scared of just being there without armor. But when you have the courage to drop all of that and you focus, really focus on her, you tap into something ancient. Women, more than men, are wired for relational cues. They pick up on tiny shifts in body language, in tone, in timing. If you're faking it, they'll know. If you're distracted, they'll feel dismissed. But when you're anchored, when you're still, and when you're actually listening, they feel that too. It lands and it lingers. You don't have to say something brilliant. You don't have to solve her problems. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is just asterisk be with her asterisk in the moment. Make her feel heard. Make her feel like there's nothing else pulling you away like this moment. This connection is enough. That's rare. That's power. And the man who can do that, he separates himself instantly from the endless line of men trying to win her over with gimmicks. You want her to feel something real. Be real. You want her to trust you, be someone who doesn't flinch when things get quiet. You want her to open up, show her you're actually there to receive what she gives, not just to respond, not just to impress, but to asterisk receive. Asterisk because being present isn't just about focus. It's about receptivity. It's about stepping into the moment and saying without words, asterisk I see you and I'm not going anywhere. Asterisk, most men grow up believing that strength is about control over others, over outcomes, even over their own emotions. But what they're rarely taught is that true strength doesn't come from control. It comes from understanding. And this is where emotional intelligence becomes not just useful, but absolutely essential. If you don't know how to recognize what you're feeling or what someone else is feeling, you're walking blind into every interaction, especially with women, who tend to be much more attuned to emotional undercurrents than men are. It's not magic, it's pattern recognition, and if you're emotionally unaware, they'll feel it immediately. See, emotional intelligence starts with the ability to asterisk name asterisk your emotions. That might sound small, but it isn't. When you're feeling anger, is it really anger, or is it disappointment? Is it fear dressed up as rage? Is it frustration with yourself that you're projecting onto someone else? If you can't name it, you can't regulate it. And if you can't regulate it, you become dangerous not in some dramatic, aggressive sense necessarily, but in a subtle, unstable way. You become unpredictable, confusing, draining. No one, especially a woman who's emotionally tuned in, wants to be close to someone who is constantly reactive and unaware of why. Now think about the opposite. Think about the man who pauses, who breathes before he responds, who notices what's happening inside him and chooses his reaction instead of spilling it all over the room. That man has composure, he has clarity. And that clarity creates safety. Not just physical safety asterisk, emotional asterisk safety. And for a woman, emotional safety is the prerequisite for attraction. It's the groundwork for trust, and where there's trust, there's desire. But it doesn't stop with understanding yourself. Emotional intelligence also means being able to tune into her not just to what she says, but how she says it, what she's not saying, what she asterisk means. Asterisk, you have to learn how to listen without getting defensive. To hear her frustration and not immediately turn it into an attack on your character. Sometimes she's just overwhelmed. Sometimes she just needs to be heard, not fixed. And if you can't sit with her emotion, if you take it personally, or try to shut it down because it makes you uncomfortable, you've just killed the connection. Women test emotional intelligence constantly, and often unconsciously. They don't do this to be cruel. They do it to see if the person in front of them can handle complexity, emotional complexity. Life is hard. Relationships are hard. And if she senses that you crumble under emotional pressure, she's not going to trust you to lead, to stand by her, to weather the inevitable storms. But if you remain calm, if you validate her without losing yourself, if you can hold your ground and hold space for her at the same time, now you're dangerous in a good way. You're grounded, and that's irresistible. You don't need a psychology degree. You don't need to be overly soft or passive either. This isn't about being weak. This is about being strong enough to stay open. It's about developing the kind of self-awareness that lets you catch your impulses before they control you. The kind that lets you understand that emotions aren't enemies, they're messengers. And if you can learn to listen to those messages, both yours and hers, you'll start moving through the world differently. More balanced, more certain, more powerful. There's this idea floating around that in order to be attractive, a man needs to have already arrived to have the money, the status, the lifestyle, the perfect image. But that's not true, not even close. What actually draws people in and what makes a woman feel pulled toward you in a way that's deeper than surface level appeal is your direction, your trajectory. It's not about what you have, it's about where you're going, and more importantly, why you're going there. Purpose gives your life structure, it gives your energy weight, it organizes your thoughts and actions into something coherent. Without it, you drift maybe slowly, maybe aimlessly, and others feel that. A man without purpose feels hollow. You can see it in his eyes. His words don't carry conviction because there's nothing underneath them holding it all together. But when you meet a man who's clearly pursuing something meaningful, even if he's not there yet, you can feel the difference. He walks differently. He speaks differently. He doesn't need to dominate the conversation because his life already speaks for him. You see, purpose isn't just about achievement. It's about movement. It's about the willingness to sacrifice the easy path for the sake of something higher. And that changes how you carry yourself. When you're building something, a skill, a business, a craft, a body of work, your days start to take shape around discipline and responsibility. You begin to respect your time. You stop tolerating nonsense. And that sort of self-respect begins to radiate outwards. People notice even if they can't quite articulate what's changed. Women in particular are drawn to this energy. It's not about control or power in a domineering sense. It's about rootedness, the sense that you're not lost, not floundering, not depending on others for direction. You have your own internal compass. You've chosen your values and you're aligning your actions with them day by day. And even when you fall short because your course stays steady. That's what builds trust. That's what builds attraction that doesn't fade when the conversation ends. The fascinating thing is, it almost doesn't matter what your purpose is so long as it's real. You could be starting a business, training in a martial art, writing music, learning to be a better father. If it's something that challenges you and calls you forward, it gives you life. And when your life has life in it, you become alive to others. You can't fake this. No amount of clever lines or perfect grooming substitutes for a man who's in pursuit of something that matters. And what happens when you're on that path is you become less needy. You stop looking to women or anyone to validate you. You're not auditioning for approval anymore. You're inviting people to walk beside you, but you're walking either way. That independence, that self-propelled momentum is extremely attractive. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel that if she steps into your life, she's joining a story already in motion, not trying to build something from scratch. And if you've ever wondered why some guys, who don't look like much and don't have a lot of money, still seem to draw attention, that's often why. They're moving, they have direction, they're not waiting to be chosen, they're choosing a future worth building. And when a woman senses that, something clicks, because now she's not just looking at who you are, she's seeing who you're becoming. There's a deep misunderstanding today about what strength really looks like in a man. People think it's about dominance, about being louder, more forceful, more in control. But that's not strength, not at its core. Real strength, the kind that earns a woman's trust, her admiration, her desire, it's rooted in integrity. And that doesn't mean being perfect. It means being consistent. It means aligning your actions with your words, especially when it's inconvenient. especially when no one's watching. See, when a man says one thing and does another, people might not always call him out directly, but they feel it. It creates a kind of dissonance, a discomfort, and over time it breaks trust. Because if your words are just tools to get what you want, they stop meaning anything. And once your words don't mean anything, you've lost your power. Your presence weakens. Your ability to lead, to influence, to connect, it crumbles. Women are incredibly attuned to this. They're not just listening to what you say, they're watching what you do when it costs you something. When you're tired or irritated or tempted to cut corners, that's when character is revealed, and you don't need to be rich or famous or especially gifted to have character. But you need to tell yourself the truth. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you make a mistake, you own it. You don't hide behind excuses or deflect blame. You face it, and here's the thing, that kind of man is rare, because it's hard. It takes discipline to follow through. It takes humility to admit when you've fallen short. It takes courage to say no when everyone else is saying yes, but it's exactly that rarity that makes you stand out. A man who doesn't lie to himself, and who won't lie to others just to avoid discomfort, that man commands respect. Not because he demands it, but because people sense that he's solid. He doesn't shift with the wind. And women, they're not looking for perfection. They're looking for reliability. They want to know that if they step into your life, they're not going to be standing on quicksand. That when you say something, it means something. That you won't say one thing to her and another thing to someone else. That your behavior doesn't change based on who's in the room. Because that's where trust begins. And trust is the soil in which attraction grows. Without it, everything else is just surface-level performance. Now, integrity doesn't mean you can never fail. It means you refuse to pretend. It means you get back up and recalibrate. And the more you do that, the more you live in alignment with your own principles, the more powerful you become. Not just socially, but internally. Because you start to asterisk yourself. And when you like yourself, when you know you're not living a lie, you carry yourself differently. You speak with calm, you walk into a room with clarity, and you stop trying to impress people because there's nothing to prove. You're just being who you say you are. This is the kind of man a woman can relax around. Because she knows she's not stepping into a performance. She's stepping into something stable. Something honest, and that kind of stability in a world full of noise and flakiness and self-serving games, it's not just refreshing. It's magnetic. We live in a time where the idea of being masculine has become so confused, so misrepresented, that a lot of men have started to pull away from it altogether. They feel like if they lean into their masculinity, they'll be labeled as toxic, controlling, outdated. And so they soften, they shrink. They hesitate to take the lead, to assert themselves, to express who they are as men, and they think that by doing that, they're being more likable, more agreeable, more safe. But what they're actually doing is silencing something ancient and essential in themselves. And women feel that, too. They feel the absence of strength, of edge, of direction. And they don't respond to it the way you might hope. The truth is, a woman doesn't want a man who becomes less so she can feel more. She doesn't want you to disappear into politeness, or to constantly tiptoe around her in fear of offending. What she wants, whether she says it directly or not, is for you to show up fully. To be someone she can feel, not just someone who's easy to be around, and that means embracing healthy masculine energy. Not the shallow imitation of it, not aggression or ego or bravado, but the real thing. The part of you that is decisive, grounded, unshaken in your values, willing to lead, to protect, to challenge when needed, and most of all, to hold space without collapsing. Masculine energy is the container. It's structure. It says, I've got this. You can bring what you're feeling, and I won't be thrown off. And when a woman senses that, when she sees that you're not intimidated by her emotions, her strength, or her opinions, she relaxes. Not because you're dominating her, but because you're not afraid of her. That's what creates polarity. That's what lights up chemistry. It's not about superiority or control, it's about complementarity. It's about you standing firmly in who you are so that she can fully be who she is. That's not oppressive. That's asterisk liberating asterisk for both of you. And the beautiful paradox is this: the stronger you are in your masculinity, the more room she has to soften into her femininity. But if you're constantly backing down, trying to make yourself smaller, deferring in every situation, she has no choice but to step into that masculine space herself. And when that happens, the polarity disappears. The attraction fades, not because she's too much, but because you've become too little, and that's painful for both of you. Now, this doesn't mean you never yield. This doesn't mean you don't listen or adapt. But it does mean you stop apologizing for being a man. You stop diluting your instincts. You stop thinking that your strength is something you need to hide or tone down. When it's directed properly with compassion, with awareness, with purpose, your strength becomes a gift. Not just to her, but to the world around you. You want her to feel something powerful when she's around you. Then be powerful, not in a way that dominates, but in a way that anchors. In a way that says, I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and I'm not afraid to take the lead when it's needed. That kind of presence is rare now. That kind of masculine energy, clear, calm, unshaken. It doesn't scream. It doesn't posture, it radiates,